All right, everyone, welcome to the Big Ben Fishing Report. We're going to go ahead and get started. Pat is outside in his truck trying to come up with the list of lies he's going to tell all of you guys today. Just don't tell him I said that.
No truer words or speak. I see him coming in as we speak.
He probably had it on. And
we know he's not listening. We know better than that.
Yeah.
That's not that sophisticated.
No.
I'm not that sophisticated, so. But
So you've been fishing?
I fished today, and you can hear Pat, our watchdog, is alerting us. I fished today, and I know you did too, and it was tough.
Yeah.
I think, we were talking about how, it's going to kick off, and I'm not sure that it didn't just go from spring to summer this week.
I will say, though, the water temps are still down.
It is.
Today was 77 degrees.
Yeah, that's what I saw, 78. So, but the thing that, and it doesn't bother me. I mean, I realize that we're, it's fishing, but last year at this time, we had a lot of redfish in the area, a lot of redfish. And there's still a lot out there, but I'm not seeing the groups of redfish like I was seeing last year. You can go down a shoreline, you can go down a bank, even up into a creek, and you can catch fish, but it's not like it was, last year when you could pull up to a point and catch 20 fish.
Right.
I haven't seen that. I didn't see that this year, and I don't think we're going to see it into the summer because they're not going to, they're just not going to group up.
Well, the one thing I wonder is starting to see some quality redfish come out of Steinhatchee.
Mm-hmm.
And typically we see, I don't know. All right, we'll quit talking about Pat.
Yeah.
But no, typically, over the years, you'll see a trend where you'll see kind of Crystal River, Homosassa, Crystal River, up to Yankeetown, Cedar Key. You'll see that redfish wave come across.
Mm-hmm.
And it always starts south, and it's just a wave comes north.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's late, but Steinhatchee's putting some nice redfish out.
They are. And
so maybe that wave's late.
Everything else has been 4 to 6 weeks late.
Yeah, it has been. And I talked to Leif Lundquist today, and I asked him how are his redfish over in that area doing. He said they're not bad, but again, kind of the same sentiment that we've been seeing there. You can catch redfish if you go out there and put the time in. It's not quite as easy as we would like it to be.
It's not automatic.
Yeah, it's not. You can't just pull up to a point and catch fish. You kind of gotta look for them a little bit. And that was, that wasn't the theme last year at this time. It was pretty easy.
Oh yeah, we were whacking.
Yeah, but what I did, today we had low tide first thing in the morning. We had low incoming. And every time I got around good groups of mullet, not just one here, one there, but where there was a steady bunch of mullet jumping around me, we caught some fish. And it wasn't a lot. Like I said, I think we caught total today. I think we caught 4 that we put in the boat.
I didn't catch a single red today, and we covered a lot of water.
Yeah.
I will say the trout that I cleaned today, the eggs were not even close to being ready.
No, they're not ready. They're going to spawn in June.
Yep.
And maybe the last moon of this month.
Yeah,
That's what I've.
I would be shocked if it was the last. Based on what the eggs that I saw today, I would be shocked if it's the end of this month. I'm sure there's some that's closer.
And I'm still not seeing the big females in Econfina. We're catching a few, but they're our mascot. So here's our mascot. All right, go see it. He wants to say hi to Pat.
We were talking out there.
But I'm not seeing the numbers of big fish. The 22 to 26 inch fish.
We caught some today.
Yeah.
And they were in about. My transducer wasn't reading. It didn't read all day long until I went to load it on the trailer.
Always.
But I would say we were in about 3.5 feet.
Yeah, that's so we finally once we got frustrated with the redfish, we moved out and did some trout fishing, and we caught. We could have, if we'd have stayed with it long enough, we probably would have put a limit in the boat and we're keeping anything. But we caught some decent trout, 17 to 18-inch trout, good numbers. We had one big fish. I didn't measure it, but I think it was over 20. But that was it. The rest of them were all either shorts or things. But they was in that same depth. It was about 3.5. We might have got to 5 foot, but that was about it. But it was definitely over. Where I was out with Beacon Fina, but it was definitely over hard bottom. If I got over grass, I didn't get a bite.
See, we were catching them over grass.
Yeah.
We got over hard bottom, it was over.
Yeah, I mean, we'd get everything. We'd catch sea bass, ladyfish, mackerel, trout, and as soon as you got over grass, it went, which was, I thought, kind of odd, but maybe that's where the food was. I don't know.
Yeah, I talked to some people at the ramp. We were throwing artificial today. Our best
Oh, Pat's gonna like this.
our best lure was the P&V and Laguna shrimp. We did catch some on the brown glass minnow under a popping cork, but rigged on an assassin.
Wait a minute, say that again. Did you use a popping cork on your boat today?
I did. It did.
That's not the part you're gonna like.
But we didn't catch the keeper fish on it.
Okay.
I rigged the P&V Laguna shrimp on the screw lock, twist lock hook, keel weighted hook, the assassin hook,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what we did the best on. Now this morning when I first got out there, we started at 7 o'clock this morning.
Yep.
It was pretty slick, so we ran out to try to get on some sea bass. They were there, but they were not wanting to
Did
cooperate.
you throw top water at all there?
No.
I did when because we were on the water at 7 too, and it was nice. And I threw top water until 10 o'clock. And I had the ladyfish.
So
I tried.
I've been throwing some top water and I've gotten a few rolls and no commits, and I just put it up.
Yeah. And
that-
today was the first day that I could actually work it, that we didn't have a ton of grass.
Well, this morning the wind started out of the north,
So it pushed it out.
and pushed it out. And we didn't hardly catch a fish until that wind shifted, started coming out of the west. That's when we started catching fish, and it was about when they were ready to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It just,
when that wind's moving, transitioning, I don't like it.
yeah. I don't know what it was. I mean, the last few times out, it's been, it hadn't been easy. It's been it's been work. We haven't had that, we had a week of just a really good bite.
Right.
And then it's kind of a grind. I mean, it's still great fishing, but it's not what we're expecting this time of year. And as we go into summer, it just seems like to me today felt like, it felt like a middle of July day, Pat. The way the fish bit and the way the fish reacted and what we did, it just felt like that to me, even though the water temperature wasn't that cold.
We had
it
a
wasn't
high
that
pressure
hot.
system.
We did.
It was very high pressure. I will say, I talked to several people at the ramp.
Mhm.
Everyone asked, "How'd you do?" Terrible. There was one person that caught a limit that I spoke to. That was Don. He caught them on pinfish
Mhm.
under popping cork. If we would have stayed a little bit longer, we would have done a lot better, because it was starting to turn on when that wind shifted out of the west and it stabilized. And
That's when we were out there, and that's when we started catching the trout too. But that's when we moved out there. It was
you moved out there at the right time.
Yeah, that was just purely coincidental. We'd gotten tired of, like I said, throwing at the shoreline and getting no results, so we went out and tried that.
There's pinfish
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Yes. My baits
Literally
my
everywhere.
baits will attest to that. we were coming in, we started off using the little P&Vs, and they come back and he's like, man, he goes, my bait's getting tore up. He goes, and I'm not getting any bites. And I look at it, and it literally looked like just 1,000 little piranhas that nipped out. There were just pieces hanging out. I said the pinfish are just coming up. And
You know, a lot of people, that's when they want to change it.
that's
I
what's
want
the
to keep
best.
it.
Yeah.
I want to leave it on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's like we talk about all the time. As long as those pinfish are nipping at that thing,
It's worthwhile.
they're going to attract bigger fish.
Yeah. And they see all that little stuff hanging off it. They come up there and try and get it. But yeah, I mean, we got out there and the wind was, like I said, it was noticeably out of the west northwest. You know, a little, like I said earlier, a little more west. And you know, it wasn't on fire, but I mean, it was every fourth or fifth cast, you know, you'd hook a fish. When, you know, it might have been a sea bass. You know, we started getting into a little more trout, but it was just potpourri.
And when it did shift, that water flooded it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a flood tide. I ran the shoreline all the way back in. Never came off the shoreline.
And you were buzzing the edge.
Yeah. There was no fish there anyway. I don't
Wasn't nothing to scare.
care.
Yeah.
Well, we've had more fronts and more pressure changes and more high pressures in the last, if not 30, if not 60 days than I ever remember seeing.
Yeah.
And then when we did not, we had a pressure line sit on us and just sit there.
Mhm.
And every time you look up, you know, it's just sitting on it.
Yeah. You're right above it or right below it.
And that's deadly. That is never good. And northwest is never good. Northwest is always the toughest wind we deal with. But you're right. When you flipped around to the west, that's what Don said. He had 3 trout until that happened, and then that's when they caught 7 in 45 minutes.
And I figured that because we weren't far from each other. And typically when you see someone bouncing around a lot,
Yeah.
they're not
looking
catching.
for fish.
No, he was looking for a bite. I told him not. Don't sit on nothing. Don't sit on, especially not this time of year, because the active fish, and when that's the most comment I've got to say. He had it happen yesterday and today. He had 3 trout try to take the rod away from him, and he said, you know, they weren't monster trout, but he thought he had a 25-inch, 23, you know, and he had 18 and a half inch fish that just literally tried to take the rods. No time to open the bail or feed them or anything. Just either get them or lose your rod. Of course, he fishes braid and he fishes a 4 horseman float, and he uses that big thing. It looks like it's 8 inches long. I know it's only 5, but it's
Big
when
old
you're
float.
used to the ones I fish with, the Cajun Thunders, that thing looks huge. But you know, that's a big rig, and they just were swatting at it, and that's indicative to me of pre-spawn fish that are feeding. And he caught fish that had shrimp and pinfish both in the same guts. In other words, in the same stomach with the same fish, he was eating both. And that's what I talk about when they're eating 24/7. They're eating shrimp at night and fish in the daytime. That's pre-spawn. And so that is 6 weeks late.
Yeah.
We should have had that bite 6 weeks ago.
Right.
And we haven't. And so we just have to take a long breath and a sigh and say, okay, well, fish it. That means you need to stay out there in 3 to 4 feet of water. I call it wrapping 4 feet. And if you stay there, when the bite does happen, then you'll be there. But it doesn't do any good to run the bank because there isn't enough bait up in there to draw those fish that just might decide to go that way. The only reason they leave a pre-spawn 4 foot of water is to follow bait.
Right.
But they're going, they go from both directions to that depth.
So I'll say this, and it makes no sense to me whatsoever, but when we started out, and even, 10:30, 11 o'clock, when the water had gotten up a little bit, we were still in looking, trying to catch redfish. So we were we weren't right on the bank, but we were in, within 50 yards of the bank. I mean, I seen more pinfish than
Ton of pinfish
I think I've ever seen. And that is there. And yet, the reds are there. They're spread out. They're a lot more spread out than what they are, but there's no big trout in there. And I understand they're probably, confused as everything else is right now, but you would think there'd be a few, at least at the mouths of some of these creeks where there's a little bit of deeper water and some flow and everything like that, that there would be some of these bigger trout. And I haven't caught a big trout in less than 2 foot of water in probably since I was on the airboat this year. I mean,
6 weeks.
yeah, it's been a while. So that's the part that, you know, I'm seeing the bait there, you know, at least pinfish. And I saw some ballyhoo today.
Timeout. The
Timeout.
reason that doesn't mean it doesn't transfer or translate to you finding fish is the pinfish are always there. They have pinfish in 3 and 4 feet of
Yeah,
water.
I get that.
And they have a better chance of catching one where there's so many thousand per acre instead of so many hundred.
Mm.
And the fact that you can see them in shallow water, you wouldn't even have been thinking about looking at them if you were catching fish. And if the white bait was there, those big trout would follow that white bait school in there.
Mhm.
I agree, and I haven't seen white bait.
No.
Yeah. We're not
I've
getting
I've
pilchards.
seen ballyhoo.
Some kind of little minnows was out there. This is now what, working on 4 weeks ago?
Yeah.
But
With a cold
about
front
like
push them
that,
out.
about like that.
Mhm.
And they'd scatter. When you catch a fish, they'd blow out of the water because your fish was spooking them. Even though you know, he wasn't chasing them, they didn't know it. Hadn't seen that since. And I asked Don, he said he'd seen that in 2 days. And that's those, whatever is in a large school, you can call it white bait or just pelagic bait. They haven't made it to us yet. And I think that's where the reds are. I think the reds and steam hatch you're catching are eating that bait and they're staying with that bait and they come in here with that bait. And that's what when we see that, we'll see some big trout mixed back in with them.
I mean, it's like I said, that I call it the red wave.
Mhm.
That red wave just hasn't made it to us, or it's not going to make it to us.
Yeah. I mean,
Don't get me wrong, there's redfish out there. There's
there is.
There's
That's
a
what
lot
I
of
said. You
redfish
can,
out
yeah,
there.
you can
There's
go out
scat.
there and catch redfish. It's just not, it's not what we would
He
expect it to
hadn't
be
got
right now.
He hadn't got 6 buddies throwing him to the boat.
Right. Last year, this time, you'd reel one in and there was 2 or 3 chasing them,
Right.
you know, every time.
Right.
This year, that's not happening.
Well, it's frustrating to have you. Mine are here. I don't write it down, but you can pull out your, your logs, and they don't mean very much this year.
No.
But what it is that everything is 6 weeks late, and that dynamic doesn't mean it'll be exactly like it ought to be when they get here because all the other fish are here. You said it. You had this boat where you kitchen list, grocery
Yeah.
list of all these other fish. So you won't have that where there's more trout in there than anything else, that where it should be on water temperature.
And
I
what-
think the water temperature is controlling it more than anything. I don't think it's anything but the reason my man that raises hay and farms over there in Lee, he said, I had to start completely over. We lost everything on that last freeze. And it froze, it just killed it back down in the ground and they're starting over. So he said, that puts me 3 to 4 weeks behind before I'm gonna have any hay this year. And my crepe myrtles did the same thing. They bloomed and then it killed them. And now they've bloomed again.
Yeah. That's our peach tree on the side of the house over there, same thing. It was all full and the freeze came through. We got no peaches.
That's right.
Yeah.
But the thing I started doing, so first thing this morning, I went to an area that I always fish. It's just you start in a familiar place, you know where you're at on low water, and you try and get some fish, and we did. But after that, seeing everything, I just started fishing spots I just hadn't fished in forever, just maybe never have fished. I just went to all new stuff, because the stuff that I'd been fishing just didn't hold much fish. So
And that's kind of what I did today. I started off in the comfort zone, but then I went to my usual spots where I'm catching fish this time of year, and we were catching shorts.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, got to make a move. So I went to areas that I normally fish
in summer,
early April.
Yeah.
Early April.
okay.
Late March, early April. And that's where I found the fish. So
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I will say one thing I did see today that I hadn't been seeing yet over here was triple tail.
small ones.
I mean, I don't.
It's about well, this is a little late actually.
Yeah, that's. And I've been looking when I've had my shoal water out with the tower. I've been kind of running trap lines and looking for big pockets of floating grass and all that kind of stuff. And that's what these. I'll tell you what they were actually sitting on. There was 5 big jellyfish, not big, but they were about that big. But there was 5 of them in an area about as big as this table, and they were sitting with them jellyfish. They weren't in them; they were just right next to them. And I was in the back of the boat, and I'm looking forward, and I asked the guy on the front. I saw him up there, and I was looking, and I wasn't, I hadn't seen them yet this year, so I was like, I was trembling. We were about 5 foot from him when I asked him. He's like, yeah, and of course they dropped away, but those are the first ones I've seen.
So Pat won't like me mentioning this, but I'm going to mention it because typically this time of year, when I'm out trout fishing,
mm-hmm.
I'll see some big groups of manatees, and they'll come and follow the boat. They're mainly around Osceola, Ecofina.
They ain't up there.
But normally
I run them over by now if they haven't been up there.
But no, the reason I'm saying is normally they're out in deeper flats. Yeah. They're up tight.
Yeah.
And it's water temperature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure. And plus, they're probably looking for fresh water. We haven't had rain in forever. They're probably thirsty.
That's something I was going to ask Greg. Did you see any turbid water, any water
I did.
Had colored from that rain?
I did.
There's not much though.
No, I mean it's still cleaner than it should be.
Bank? Is it on the bank?
Yes. Yeah, when I got out like in the 3-4 foot of water, which is not, however far that is, half a mile off the bank, at high tide, it wasn't, I could count the blades of grass down there. It was still that clean. So it's not bad.
I ran north out of Keaton,
mm-hmm.
and I went all the way to Rock Island. And it wasn't until I got to Finn Holloway that I seen any sign of any color change.
Yeah,
color at all. Yeah. Well, I was hoping we'd get more than we did. It rained for 2 days at my house, but I don't think I got an inch.
Yeah.
Problem is the ground just soaked it right up.
Yeah, but I didn't get,
I don't think any of it's getting out into the marsh. It's just soaking it all up.
And that's a big deal. We fish Stain.
Oh, we do, and also you got to figure the salinity, is probably a lot higher than it would normally be this time of year because we just haven't had any rain. So and that makes a big difference. You can have obviously too much rain and you aren't going to see a trout, and you get too much salinity and it affects the bait fish and stuff like that, which I think we're seeing. I don't think that's helping. We need a good steady dose of rain, not once every 3 months,
and not all at once.
Yeah, not all at once. The rain we had the other day was the kind of rain we need. We just need it about 3 times a week, so that would help. But yeah, like I said, we caught mackerel when we got out there. We caught mackerel, ladyfish. We didn't get any. We got plenty of sea bass when we were around the rock. We got trout. We saw the triple tail, and. So everything's it's not. I know it sounds kind of doom and gloom, that we're struggling and everybody's struggling, but fishermen are the only people I know that purposely make excuses of why they're not catching fish when we are catching fish sometimes.
Well, the big thing is we're being honest.
Yeah.
And we're going to be honest with you guys because
it's what we're seeing out there. It's what we're and it's just.
Well,
fishermen always try and figure things out.
When you did catch a trout, what were you doing specifically? Were you bouncing the PMV or were you corking grub?
No, we were just using on an 1/8 ounce jig head and just swimming them back.
I was using 1/4 ounce weedless hook.
Yeah, we were just like I said, and when we got over the grass,
the swim bait.
Yeah, swim bait hook. Sorry.
Swim bait.
Yeah. No, I was using the regular, the assassin jig head, just an 1/8 ounce.
I was using a swim bait hook because the floating grass has been so bad.
Yeah. And see, we didn't.
And then some of the types of grass I'm fishing in,
mm-hmm.
I needed to be weedless.
Yeah. But they were definitely down, the bottom of the water column because you threw it out and you know, like I noticed my client doing it, he'd throw it out and just start working it. If he didn't let it settle at all,
You're gonna catch ladyfish.
he caught either ladyfish or pinfish. You know, he didn't get bit. And if you throw it out and just let it get down, because it was still 5 foot and an 1/8 ounce. I mean, you got to give it some time to get down. Then you got to work it a little. You know, we were drifting to it, but you still got to keep it down there. Yeah. And like I said, over the rock is where we got the most bites, but you know, it seemed like everything was down lower in the water. I think we had one trout, and he was chasing it. I watched him come up as he was pulling it up. You know, hit it right at the boat, but you know, he was chasing it from probably all the way out. But
So he was the joker in the deck. He was the only one that really wanted to play.
yeah,
The rest of them really didn't want to.
no, I mean we had a. I mean, when they decided to commit and hit, I mean they did. You know, it wasn't that you wouldn't feel them.
Yeah.
I mean they did hit it, but it wasn't. You know, it just wasn't what you expected. You know.
We did catch a flounder on a spoon, and then
That's been the other lure that's been really flat for me this year.
it really has.
I mean, I've thrown a lot of spoons and had a lot of people throwing spoons, and I mean, I can count on one hand the amount of fish we've caught on them.
And that is by far my favorite
Mhm.
for our area. By far my favorite for redfish.
Yeah.
Especially this time of year too.
Yeah, now in fall, you know, I love spoons, but you know, it just didn't seem like. I don't know. Maybe the fish aren't bunched up enough. I don't know. But what do you want?
I think I told you on the phone, Greg. Or no, it was Pat. It was one of the two of you. Whenever
He doesn't remember.
you're throwing
It's one of
artificial
us.
and you're working, I probably told both of you. And like a spoon,
Hmm.
and you're catching sail cats, you know it's going to be a tough day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, it was me. I remember you saying that your first cast, yours was your first fish.
Hmm.
So the other day, me and my wife Terry were out, and we're just going around. I was just kind of looking at stuff because I hadn't been out for a little bit. We're in my tower boat. We pull up on a point where I always catch fish, and I make a long cast across a big rock bar, and I think I was on a Miradine. Twitch it once, boom, just comes tight and solid. All right, he's pulling drag and everything, and you can tell when it's a redfish. You feel that body roll and everything. So I'm fighting it, and get down the deck and get it up. It's a big old sail cat. I was like, oh,
Hey, they are fun to catch.
oh, they are, but getting them off a hook, getting them off a jig hook is bad enough. Trying to get shovels out of their mouth.
I've never had anybody say, "Oh, please, 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 Mr. Pat, take my picture with this sail cat."
You never been to
So I did.
Texas? Were they from Texas?
I don't know.
Well, now Kenny's gonna talk about how good eating they are.
They are. They really are.
Well, we'll need to get a cooler just for you on my boat. Throw them in there because I'm not putting them in my cooler.
Well, I don't want to clean them.
I don't want
That
to
is a
clean
nasty
them.
looking thing.
I don't want to touch them. I don't want to smell them.
I will
I
say
don't
one
wanna
thing.
Smell that ammonia.
I ate them out in Louisiana one time. They brought some in and they cooked them or cleaned them and cooked them. And
They were good, weren't they?
if I didn't know what I was eating, they'd have been really good. But I knew what they were, so I was a little bit biased.
It was in your head.
It was in my head. I knew what I was eating, but
But your taste buds like
it wasn't bad. I mean, if I didn't have to clean it or anything like that or catch it and do all that, I'd eat them. Sorry, yeah.
Well,
But I'm not gonna start doing sail cat charters. I know that.
I'm not either, but
I tell you what I haven't seen in 36 years of guiding
what's that?
is a board covered in sail cat.
Again,
I have.
go to Texas.
There was a board in Steenhatchee that was loaded with them.
As a joke.
Well,
It was loaded with them.
I've never seen anybody hang them on a board when we had a board at Keaton for 25 years. And
That's because you're so negative about how they are.
no, it wasn't mine.
If you would eat them,
You think-
It's kind of like getting caught riding a moped. It's like everybody does, but you just, we won't talk about it. Yeah, we've all been there.
they're fun.
Yeah, they're fun.
Well,
I have definitely cleaned them. I've cleaned hardheads. I've had people that want to keep hardheads. In fact, I probably shouldn't even tell this.
You already,
Now you
already
started.
have.
I had a guy come from South Carolina. He wanted to catch a bunch of fish for his church fish fry.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you told me this.
He wanted hardhead. He said, they won't know what it is. Let's load the boat. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I tried everything I could to not catch it.
That's a stinky cooler at the end of the day, right there.
It was his cooler.
Yeah, thank God.
Well, I had somebody when we caught one a week or so ago say, you know, I've eaten those and they're not that bad. They're not too bad. I said, well, they'll probably. I said, the next one you catch, I said, you won't catch one now that you said that. I'm so proud of you for saying it. But the next one, if you do catch one, I said, he'll fit in that drink cooler of yours. He really. And I said, and you can clean him when we get back. I said, I clean certain species and others I don't. But I whacked that one and I had a 12-year-old on the boat and he said, he just died laughing when I whacked him and killed him. He said, he shook his head and he said, you don't like those, do you? I said, no, I just don't like them when they're alive. I said,
They're perfectly
I
fine.
want to
Dead.
get my hook back. I said, if I didn't want my 47-cent hook, I wouldn't kill him. I'd flip him off with it, but I'm not going to get stuck by one. I said, if you ever get stuck by one of those, you'll cry and then you'll tell the story later. You know, it hurt so bad I cried. And I said, whether you're grown or not. But
I don't know what's more painful, a stingray or a catfish.
if you get that catfish to hit you in the wrong place,
I agree with you.
it's as bad. A hardhead now is as bad as it gets.
Yeah. I've never been stuck by a sail cat.
Oh,
I have hardheads.
I've been stuck by both of them.
But speaking of strange fish to clean, I've had people request me to clean ladyfish.
You can't do it.
It's
It's like trying to fully
He's
mashed
got-
potatoes.
He's got Y bones coming out,
Yeah.
dividing both
Oh,
sides.
they
of
took
the
the meat. Remoras,
Yeah.
and there's next to no meat on the remora.
We caught a couple more today. Chased us down.
I ain't never cleaned the remora either.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I
There's not a lot of meat on them.
I've had jacks. People request jacks several
Oh, I
times.
have a client coming
Everybody,
Monday that loves Jack.
everybody's got a client that loves Jack, but everybody's got at least one.
probably from Ohio.
No,
Mine was.
from here.
Mine was from Ohio.
I mean, we made them. They're not terrible if you eat them fresh. They're not terrible.
I'd have to be really hungry.
I eat bluefish.
Yeah.
I like
Now I've eaten bluefish,
I've eaten bluefish before.
but
it's a
I like it
bluefish.
fresh.
Bluefish baked is good, and
It's like mackerel.
if you
It's just
bleed
gotta
him,
be fresh.
if you bleed him, yeah. I'll eat I tell people, I said, mackerel's great as long as you eat him before breakfast tomorrow.
That's true. And not for
Yeah.
breakfast.
You eat him tonight, the day you catch him, he's fine.
Mhm.
Tomorrow lunch, no, not so much. But I mean, I've been to fish fries where they had, I don't know how many 100 pounds of kings,
Oh, I like kings.
and if you take care of them, if you make a sluice, the mackerel are better. I mean, if you drop that temperature on
Yeah.
you drop that temperature in a sluice, which is sluice, people, if you don't know, is where you put 50% seawater and 50% ice in
That's
there
what I do.
and mix it. And if you have ice cream salt, we used to put up bait.
Yep.
We used to, you put ice cream salt about a box per 30 gallons. And you can drop the temperature of bait. I've had it where we drop cigar minnows live and this in the cooler, and the cooler's going back and forth. You turn the cooler sideways to the boat instead of running long ways, so it'll
Swash back and forth.
slosh. You could reach in there. You wouldn't reach in there with your hand, but you could take a dip net and get that cigar minnow in less than a minute, and he'd be hard as a piece of wood.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's the way we used to put up our bait for trolling and also our Spanish. Billy and I used to put up 50 to Spanish. I think it would have 25 a piece or something.
Yeah, 25.
And we filled that cooler up full of Spanish, and that's what it did, drop the temperature, and then I packed them in ice, and I had a cooler over there where we iced and rock salt, and iced them down. And then that bait, when you got it 6 months later, you could fish with it. It didn't turn to mush.
Right.
But if you didn't bleed it and you didn't sluice it and drop that temperature down low it drops it down around 30 degrees, I think is what they say.
And it's good for all fish, not just them.
Oh, yeah.
Even your redfish, trout, everything you're doing. I mean, if you're going to keep fish, you should probably. I mean, we've all thrown the fish in with the drinks before, but I mean, you should have a dedicated cooler and do just that.
Well, that's what I do. I take one of my live wells,
Mhm.
I put ice in it, and I fill it up with a little bit of water.
Yeah.
But it gets so cold at the end of the day, when I was going to get the fish out, it hurts.
Yeah,
It hurts my hand to put it in that water.
and they're easier to clean when they're like that too.
Much easier.
I mean, they're just you got to make sure they're not bent up in there. You try and straighten them out.
Well,
but-
the reason a lot of people don't like Spanish is they go out there, they catch them when they get into a school of them, it's summer, and it's
Mhm.
85, 90 degrees, and so they throw them in the cooler and they pile them in the cooler because they're catching fish and they're not.
right,
stop it.
right on top of each
And the
other.
fish are in 80 degrees in the top of the cooler, and it's, maybe 20, 30 at the bottom, but the top of the cooler's 80, 75, 80 degrees. And those fish are rotting in their cooler.
Yeah.
And then they get back and clean 20 or 30 of them, and they're
They're
already
horrible.
good.
And while they're clean, I mean, it's the same way. I mean, in the summertime especially, you really, the way if you're going to eat fish, you really need to be prepared when you're cleaning them. Like those fillets, you take and do all your fillets, and if you've got, say you've got 2 redfish, 4 redfish, and you got 10, 15 trout, if you just take those fillets and set them over here while you're cleaning the rest of them, those fillets are going to sit out in 90-degree temperature for, who knows how long.
I always clean one species at a time, hand with my clients, say, go put those on,
Yep.
go put some ice on them.
I do the same thing.
My daddy used to say, put the ice on the fish, not the fish on the ice.
Right.
And
And that's the way, in this time of year, especially from now on until November, every time you clean fish, you should have a cooler, your bags and everything ready, and they should never set on the counter. Because that counter's hot, the sun's beating on them, and they're instantly, the longer they sit there, the worse they're going to taste. I mean, if you're gonna keep them, at least.
well, I bleed all the mackerel I catch if I'm keeping them. I bleed them immediately in water and in a bucket of water, and I cut the gills, and then I cut them in the back so that at the tail, I cut down to the backbone so that the capillary, so that it's like a straw. You can hold water with your thumb and you release it. You release the pressure on the other side, and all that blood comes out of it. A lot of people don't know that trick, but anyway.
Let's talk about gear for a second.
Okay.
What kind of fillet knife you use?
A sharp one. I mean, honestly, I've got a couple. I like, I've always been a Dexter fan just because they seem to hold an edge good. They got tons of different styles and everything. I like the Bubba's. I like the Bubba.
He's talking about a Dexter Russell, folks.
Yes.
It's actually, but we call them Dexters.
The Bubba battery powered one. The reciprocating. Thank you.
You like?
I was going to say the reciprocating is all. But I like that one too. To me, I'm better with a regular knife than I am, the electric knife. It's definitely easier if you're doing a lot of fish, but like I said, that's just how I am. For some reason, I love the handle on the Bubba knife. I just don't like the blade.
So I don't use the Bubba blade.
Mm.
I use a Mr. Twister blade in the Bubba knife.
Well, no, I mean on their regular knife, not the electric.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on the regular. Yeah, no, and you showed me that, and I was like, oh, I might like the electric knife now. Mr. Twister blade works, is night and day better. It's a much finer cut.
Well, it's the edge of the Bubba knife is a little too rough for trout.
It's good for redfish.
Yeah.
If you're cleaning a red or a grouper or a snapper or something, it'll work fine. But that Mr. Twister knife, you keep it wet and keep water on your fillet, on your fish. It's just like night and day. You probably, like me, you can clean fish 3 times faster with that Mr. Twister blade.
Oh yeah.
And it's a 10-inch blade instead of a little 6, 7, 8 or whatever.
I think my favorite one I ever had, my grandfather had an old Uncle Henry Charade.
Yeah.
had a bone handle on it, and it was just a 10-inch blade. It's a really flimsy blade. That knife, God, I had that knife forever. You could sharpen that thing; it would hold a blade or hold an edge forever. And that was probably it was just a comfortable knife.
If I'm using a regular knife, 9.9 times out of 10, it's going to be a Dexter.
Yeah, that's
Well, if you buy that wooden handle Dexter that's non-stainless, it's regular steel, and sharpen it, you can clean 10 catches before you have to sharpen it again. It'll hold the edge, but you have to take care of it. I used a 12-inch and I kept them for cleaning flounder, just for cleaning my flounder, and
That's pretty much the only thing I use a regular knife for anymore is flounder.
flounder.
I clean him.
And if they're bigger flounder, I'll clean them with my
Electric.
battery powered Bubba. But if they're a smaller flounder and they do want them filleted,
Yeah.
I'm going to use regular knife.
I can do it either way. I clean so many of them. I burned up every brand of electric knife they make.
Yeah, the Bubba is definitely the most durable electric knife I've
Not
used.
only will those lithium batteries surprise you how many fish you can clean, but the blades, if you're using theirs, what's nice is they all have 2 rivets in them instead of 1 or 2 to hold them together. And so they don't spread and trap as much fish
Right.
as most any of the other brands do.
And it's not that you can't use their blades, it's a learning curve.
Yeah.
You got to learn not to get down to the skin.
Well, it's much harder to skin with that.
Right.
Yeah, a lot.
Out of the box. I used to take the ones,
It's like trying to skin
I've
with a
forgotten the
serrated
name
blade.
of it. Now the ones Walmart sold for years. I was on their team, and it was America or something.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
was it? I can't say what it is, but I would take it and go and put it on the sink at the beach. They had stainless steel sink in the wood, and when I first got it, I'd hit it on that metal to dull it down so I could skin with it. And then I'd dull it on the wood. And I'd sit there and say, he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "This knife's just a little too sharp." And he says, "I can't believe you." And I'd shoot. I was over reason the whole edge of the wooden table was chewed to pieces because I was dulling my electric knife.
They still have those knives. And they're
Yeah.
probably some of the best.
I can't say the name of them to save my life.
It's American.
Yeah, America.
I can see him. I can't think of the name.
Well, I burned up the yellows, blues, greens, and the reds. I had every brand of them, every one of them. And I'm not going to say on the radio here on the podcast the reason I quit using them, but it had something to do with having a dead ground fault in one and standing in water.
It was shocking.
And the story is pretty shocking.
I
But it damn near killed me.
think the neatest ones I've seen when I go out to Louisiana every year, the guys out there, they clean so many fish out there. They literally have taken and adapted the DeWalt little reciprocating saws, and they put the Mr. Twister blades in them.
Yep.
You want to see something that'll go through some fish now.
I had to go to some bone too.
Dude, it goes through anything. And those guys, like I said, they clean so many fish out there. They're like artists with those knives. They start going through them. I mean, when we first started going out there was a guy at Venice Marina called Mac the Knife. And everybody would just bring their fish up there and he'd clean them. They'd pay him to clean them. He'd charge like 25 cents a fish or whatever.
A pound.
Yeah. No, he just did it by the fish. But I mean, he would clean a trout start to finish. Go from a full trout to 2 fillets in about 20 seconds. I mean, it was the crazy, and I mean, they would be perfect fillets. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. We used to just sit there and watch him. But those guys out there, like I said, they went through so many of those. And the only other one you really see out there anymore, you used to see some of the Mr. Twisters, but they destroyed them. But you see some of the Bubbas out there, but they don't hold up like the DeWalts do.
I will say my Bubba, I bought my first one, what was it, 4 or 5 years ago? I still have that one. It still works.
Yeah.
And then I bought another one.
I burned up one of them already.
Here's the crazy thing. They came out with a professional, I think it was a year later. My original one quit working. So I ran up the store to keep beach bums, and he had the professional there, and I don't care. I sent her. I said, I don't care what it costs to go buy it.
Mm-hmm.
I got to clean fish. and I didn't want to use a regular knife on all the fish I had. She went up there, bought it. I'm still using that one today. And the original one is working.
Yeah.
What it was, the trigger. Yeah. It was the trigger, and something got hung up in it or something. But it still works, and it's 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah. No, they're durable. I've got one. I just, like I said, I always, I use, if I'm cleaning them at the ramp or something like that, I'll use it there. But usually if I come back here to clean, I usually just use a regular knife because
you're just old and set in your ways.
I am. But to me, I'm just as fast with the damn knife. And if I do make a mistake, it's not, I haven't cut the fillet in half. But I am. I like regular.
It doesn't happen often. Every now and then it'll slip, and it's going to happen.
I mean, you do that with a regular knife too.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's all the same.
I will say the one knife that it's a big craze. You see it all over the place. The new Dexter that has the serrated tip.
Mm-hmm.
I will never buy one again. I've never cut myself so much as I do with that thing.
A serrated tip.
They have the top edge about that far serrated, so that you can kind of zip through the back line.
Mm-hmm.
The scales.
On the back side of the knife.
Yeah.
Oh, that is great.
Yeah, let me tell you.
Yeah, I can see how that would.
I cut myself to pieces with that thing every time I used it.
I don't even like serrated.
In theory, it's great.
Yeah. I don't even like serrated knives for,
So I like that. Before I used electric, I would use a serrated on like triple tail.
Yeah, on redfish and
sheep's
triple tail.
head, redfish. Everything else was just a
straight knife.
I always burned up knives cleaning Kobe for people. Somebody else not on my boat or whatever would have a Kobe and not know how to clean it, and I'd be staking it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd catch that backbone and it
Miss the vertebrae.
and it just and that was it.
It's
When
done.
it caught, it stripped the transmission and
Mhm.
it just blew the gears out of the thing. And then I got on I almost said it, the team, and the little girl sent me 10 sets of the gears, nylon gears, and I replaced about 6 of them, but I was rebuilding them, and it's a nylon gear.
Mhm.
And then they made one with metal gears, and it lasted me 4 years.
Amazing, huh?
I asked them, I said, why don't you just make this out of metal, and however much it costs, we'll pay it.
Yeah.
I said, I'll pay it, and so will the public.
So do we think it's going to get better?
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
And y'all don't like to talk about it because y'all don't do it, but the pinfish, Don caught his fish for 2 days in under an hour. Well, he had 3 fish a day, and when his bite was on, it was boom, 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 boom.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's that last hoorah bite is when you have that tide in the middle of the day and you got the same sweep out. That means you're going to have a short standard tide, and when those fish feel that, they feed either right as it stops, right, or as it's stopping, and you got that 30 minutes, and then you got 30 minutes of it starts back moving. Now, when you don't have that good peak on your tide, then you have an extended or a stretched out flat tide. Then those fish don't like that, and that's what fishing on the moons does for you. It gives you those good peaks.
And we've got that right now.
To concentrate your time and effort is what I'm trying to tell people. If you're going to go, you might as well be sitting on your ace, on your best spot, or where if you caught 2 or 3 trout in the morning and you haven't caught any since, go back to that region and that area. When that bite happens, you need to be sitting in the right depth. 4 or 5 is what y'all were saying, and he was in both days. Don was wrapping 4. He was
I'll say, I did put my pinfish traps out today, but I will say this. I truly feel like if we would have stayed a little bit longer, we'd have caught. We were right on the edge of them turning on. Yeah,
and like I said, our bike turned on up there. We're north of you by 10 miles. And, ours turned on, like I said, we might have had 10, I don't know, we weren't keeping any, so I didn't really count. But we brought several keepers to the boat. But it's just, it was it was in a very short amount of time after not having a whole lot of action. It seemed like we were lighting the world on fire then.
Well, and the other thing is that your breeze flipped around to a favorable,
It did.
favorable breeze.
Yep.
Tide shifted right. But what I'm saying is with Don them with the live bait, it means that those fish were very aggressive to strike something that they didn't have to run down.
Right.
And so sometimes the cork, and I keep a cork with the plastic on the boat every single time I go fishing, that I fish with when my clients are throwing bait. I don't throw bait. If I pick up bait, I'll usually take their rod literally and throw it because I'm trying to demo, here's what they'll do with this, watch this, boom. And then I hand them the rod. But like I said, I'm not going to throw bait on my boat 99% of the time.
Well, and it works the same inside because I don't know, it was a week and a half ago, we pulled up on a point and two guys were throwing artificials. I think they were throwing Miradines and covered the whole point. We had a ladyfish in there and I had a couple kids on the boat. I cut the ladyfish up, put one on a jig head and threw it out there, after they had made 4 or 5 casts up across that point, threw it out there before I could hand the bait to the little boy. I could feel it pulling already.
Right.
So, I mean, the fish were there. They just didn't want,
Yeah.
they wanted something that they could smell and just swim over and pick up. They didn't want to chase it.
And I use pinfish a lot in the summertime, especially. It's just, I get stubborn because I don't need it 3/4 of the year.
We want to do it the way we want to do
Yeah.
it.
And even then, summertime, there's other tactics I can use and put just as many fish in the boat. It's just, I don't like gulp. But
No.
they shine in the summer.
They do. Especially if you can just throw them out there and let them sit.
I don't fish with gulp. I can count the times I've used a piece of gulp on one hand.
Well, the reason I keep it on the boat is when you get those people that can't fish with the pinfish, and literally every cast you got to have another pinfish.
Because they're reeling it in.
No, because they throw them off.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I got you.
They break their necks and they kill them.
They
And,
sling them.
and I'm going to be honest right here on camera in front of everyone. I get frustrated.
No, not King.
I get frustrated. I'm like, all right, this isn't working. I'm done with this because I'm not getting that bait well.
Wait a minute, now you're not
5,000
saying
times.
this out loud.
I'm saying it out loud.
And when you have the clients on the boat?
Oh no.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
sometimes.
All right.
Sometimes I'll be
It's
like,
that thing you say all that, and then that's what I wanted to say. Not how it came
no,
out.
sometimes I'll say, all right, this isn't working. We're switching to this.
They don't want that pin.
Because honestly, if they do that every time, and half the time it flies off before it even hits the water, then they're popping the cork, working it back with a bare hook, and I'm just like,
What are you doing?
So that's when I break out the gulp. I'm like, all right, you're not going to lose this one. We'll at least put some fish in the boat.
To give them the gulp from yesterday that's dry and crinkled all around the. They can't.
And I'm
possibly do
not saying that to be mean. It's just, in the summertime we get a lot more
You
people.
cater
that
to the
don't-
ability of your clients.
Right. In the summertime, we get a lot more people that doesn't fish.
Yeah.
They're just on a summer vacation. They're looking for something to do.
Mhm.
And they don't want some of those. They just don't want to be taught. They just want to go out there, have a good time, and you know what? That's where a bait like that shines.
Well, there was Mark Lord fished out of Steam Hatchery for 30-something years, and he used cut pinfish. And he produced limits probably 90% of his trips.
Well, I use a lot of cut pin.
And he had one color of one color. He grew up from grammar school, like 5, 6 years old. Robin Shiver, Robbie's junior now, was his best buddy. And he used one color of assassin. That was Night Shiner. And Night Shiner is kind of like, what do you call that?
Chicken.
What does he call it? He says it looks like
The bone diamond.
No, bone diamond.
kind of between bone diamond and croaker shad is where that Night Shiner was.
Interesting.
It has stick glitter and it has that light Tennessee shad, Arkansas shad back, whatever, that color. And I asked him one time, I said, when do you throw that? When he said, when you used up all your bait or whatever. And he said, I said, I know you got pinfish all the time. And he said, well, there's always somebody on the boat. He said, it's going to happen once or twice a week. It says, I'm not going to fish with cut bait. I didn't come down here to fish with cut bait. They just considered it beneath them.
Mm-hmm.
And I always laugh because, like I said, what I'm doing is giving him exactly what he wants. That's what he wants is pinfish. You said, y'all both said it. You got pinfish everywhere, pinfish everywhere, pinfish everywhere. That's why he doesn't want this stuff that doesn't look like a pinfish. Because he can look at it like me looking at you in this clear water, and he's not fooled like he was last year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say this. One of the trout we cleaned today had a blue crab in it.
And that's how starving he was.
And two of the sea bass I cleaned today had whole blue crabs about that.
Oh, well, they eat
Yeah.
crabs for a living.
Yeah, so all the sea bass were
They
spitting up
usually have the
crabs.
little.
But there was one trout that had a blue crab about that big in it.
He's desperate.
You beat the tarpon to
Right.
it.
Speaking of tarpon, they're due about the third week of June traditionally here. And I don't know if that's going to be the first week of September or not.
Well, I will say I've seen a few, but nothing major yet.
Not a migration.
No.
You hadn't seen moving day yet.
No.
Well, moving day is usually the third week of June. And they'll go up in the Osceola River the third week in June. That's what those boys used to tell me up there. And I said, well, that's because of how many of them showed up from Tampa. But they should be due. Cobia Sea are way behind too.
Way behind.
Yeah.
We've had some come in.
I caught a couple of little guys, 30 inches long, something like that. And I saw one keeper a couple weeks ago. And he wouldn't take anything I gave through at him.
Well, I will say this. If you remember right, it might have been 3 years ago now. We had late cold fronts. The bait was coming in, and then we had a late cold front, and all the bait left and never came back. The year that me and you was fishing that line, we didn't have the cobia that year.
And we may be in for it again.
And I believe
Yeah.
we are. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have seen some.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a few. I've caught a few.
I haven't
Nothing
seen,
big.
not like last year. I mean, you remember, Greg, I was
Yeah.
whacking them last year.
Yeah.
And big ones.
Mhm.
And I'm not.
Yeah. I've only seen one that would have been a keeper, and he was trailing a bull shark when we were sea bass fishing. Of course, there was him and a little one, and of course the little one beat him to the bait. But that's the only good one I've seen. We've caught like that. We've caught some 24 to 30 inch fish, but none of the big push where you can go and you can run all the
And they both
typical haunts. And
They
see
both hit plastic when we were bouncing.
Yeah.
For black bass.
Yes.
Black sea bass.
Yeah, that's when we got them.
I mean, when they're right, they'll eat about anything.
They will, but you'll see them in a lot of places too.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them on the back of our big mermaids that we see occasionally, or you see a few on the sharks, but I haven't seen many.
I've seen a
at
few on some structure pieces,
Mhm.
but not like they should be.
Yeah, they're probably the
And
same
they
way.
typically start showing up about mid-April. And the ones I started seeing was, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
About.
Yeah, it's probably about when I started seeing them. I wouldn't say consistently, but you'd see a few every week.
Bruce Radcliffe said he caught a small one today on white paddletail, and there's plenty of small ones around.
Mm.
Well, the Options Club is always the first Saturday in May, and they always had cobia on there. And in tournament, if people catch, there'd be quite a few caught. Well, they wouldn't have had quite a few caught this year, but of course they moved that tournament to end of June from May because of the weather.
Yeah,
Probably not a bad idea, to be honest with you, this year.
Yeah.
They always had bad weather. They've had bad weather for 25
No, I
years.
just meant because of the way the fish had been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not gonna hurt them. That's for sure.
And like we all know, no matter what it's like, no matter what the bite's like, there's going to be those people that catch
Oh, somebody will
the
catch
quality
one.
fish.
Yeah,
It's gonna happen.
yeah, never fail. I mean, you put enough people out there, somebody's gonna catch something.
You're talking about the trout, catch the big trout. You can, with their rules, we can go down and fish the Mosquito Lagoon and then drive
Driving back over.
Yeah, we can spend the night down there, be there and hire a guide, and but that's not illegal either. And catch it. Tell him, hey, I'll give you $1,000 for 8-pound trout, and that win it, and then come back and make $1,500.
Sounds easy, doesn't
I'm
it?
just saying, they don't check your boat. They don't ask you where you put in. They don't care.
That's a lot of time and work for a trout.
Hey, I'm just saying that's what their rules. That trout could come from anywhere.
Well, there's a big tournament at Crystal River every year. And I remember one year, the guy that won the big trout ran from, actually, I think it was home, no, it was out of Plantation, I believe.
Hmm.
Ran from there up here
Okay.
for the big trout and back by boat.
For a tournament down there. Oh, well,
It's a long way to go.
That's a long run for a trout.
I've made some long runs, but that's a long way to go, especially across open water.
Especially in a polling skiff.
Yeah.
oh, Jesus. Mm,
Yeah, you're hanging upside down to stretch out when you get done with that ride. That's for sure.
mm.
Bruce said he caught that off a crab float.
Yeah. No, it's getting to be that time where you start checking those things as you go by them. I mean, if you're setting up a drift, it doesn't hurt to bump your trolling motor or anything to kind of drift where you can see them. At least look at them. And I know this year, especially up by us, I don't know what's going on. I haven't really heard, but there's nowhere near the crab traps. I don't know if they're crabbing somewhere else.
Yeah, they're south.
They're south, okay. Because I know last year, my God, it was like a slalom course out there. I mean, there was like 3 lines from Rock Island all the way to, the other side of the Econfina River.
There's some trap lines around Finn Holloway area,
Yeah,
but they're all south.
Farther
Swanee,
okay.
Cedar Key.
And that could be a lot of, the blue crabs ain't up here either. I mean, there's, it's just another food source, especially for the, for the redfish. I mean, obviously trout eat them.
Now I haven't been out to the hole out there by 9 Mile where they blue crab there this time of year a lot. But you want to go out there, you're gonna catch some big sharks around those.
Yeah, there's one crab, there's one trap line down by us, and it looks more like a scout line because he's got like 8 or 10, and then there's a big gap, and he's got 8 or 10 more. He's just kind of prospecting.
It's Miller time for him.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He's got time to relax.
When the traps go like this, I know that that they're carried beer.
That was a late day pull.
Crab. The ones that are dead, solid, perfect, he hadn't had a beer.
No.
So I wanted to do. I don't know if we talked about it last time. I think we did last week. We talked about the seagrass loss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So some news on that. I spoke with the lady that manages the Big Bend Aquatic Seagrass Preserve, and she will be coming here either next week or the week after to get on the boat with me and go out there and look at it.
Outstanding.
She's also already contacted some other agencies to get them involved. So there's also this year they're doing the aquatic seagrass
Surveys. Mm-hmm.
And mapping, which is huge.
Good little baseline.
So we'll know exactly what the health is of our seagrass. Without the seagrass, we don't have a fishery.
No, anywhere.
So we like around Swanee, they've lost tons and tons and tons of grass, and their fishery changed drastically. We don't want that here. We need to protect our seagrass.
100%.
And so it's very encouraging that, I emailed her and we played phone tag a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
She left her phone number. She forgot she left me her office number. She's never in the office. But anyways, now I have her cell phone number, and she's actually, there was some other citizens that had contacted me like, hey, what do we do? Because they're noticing it too.
Yeah.
And she's reaching out to them as well. So, and she's with the DEP. So she's on it. And then, as you guys know, we work a lot with Justin, Justin Gruber, and he's on it.
Yeah.
Victor Blanco is on it. I mean, we've got we
Well,
finally got a good line of communication.
Yeah, it takes some recognition. Once the ball's rolling, it's easy. It's much easier. The hard part's always getting it rolling.
Right. And I want to give tons of credit to Victor. You know, he cares about our fishery and about our seagrass and the reefs. I mean, he's very active in all that. And I got to give a lot of credit to Lawanda Pemberton. Anytime I contact Lawanda with an issue, whether it's coastal or not, or rivers, she's on it. And if she doesn't have the answer, she's going to get you the answer. And I mean, she is like, I've messaged her and she's been busy, and she'll get back to me 9, 10 o'clock
And
at
tell
night.
folks who she is. She's the chairman.
She's the county administrator.
County administrator. I thought she was chairman of the commission.
No, that's Jamie English is the chairman of
Right.
commissioners. And you know, when we were at the GP meeting with DEP, you know, Jamie spent a lot of time with me. We were talking, and you know, they're passionate about making some changes and doing some things for the community on our waterways. So,
Well, it's getting to a point now. I mean, obviously the fishery and, you know, the waterway and all the marshes and everything are of utmost importance. And there's a lot of, I think it's getting to the point where everybody's starting to realize, you know, whether they realize it slowly or they understand that there's a big economic impact from, you know, Taylor County's coastline. You know, not just from construction and building, but from what that brings in, whether it be crabbing, whether it be, you know, shrimping, whether it be, you know, charter fishing or recreational fishing, all that ties into a really, really big number. And all that has to work together. And then the whole thing is you've got to protect that by protecting, you know, what's there, the marsh, the water, the grass, you know, because like you said, without them, none of it even exists.
right.
So you
It's something I don't think any of us really thought about until we started attending these meetings, is sea levels rising. You ever think about that?
Honestly,
every day when the tide comes in, right?
every time that someone says Miami, I'm hopeful.
But you know, like we see it, especially when we look out at the marsh. You know, I just assumed that all those palm tree tops were blown off from storms.
Yeah, storms.
I didn't realize it was sea levels rising, saltwater intrusion.
Yeah.
You know, this is all stuff that
It
impacts.
factors into how they decide things and how they look
Yeah,
at
and it impacts our fishery.
Oh, it does.
Well, absolutely, but in our lifetimes, I mean, in my lifetime or your lifetime, I don't think that the global water level change is going to be.
No.
It's not an issue for you to worry about or work on. You got the grass.
No, the grass is the key
Is
thing.
it? That's all there is. That's all we have left. That's why
Yeah.
I'm here. I graduated from USF in 1976. I went down there in 73. And I went down.
There was still grass in the bay then.
There was some grass there. But those old timers would say, we used to catch fish out here. Of course, there used to be grass right here. And we'd be on Courtney Campbell or whatever, and that causeway, and that's where I fished more than anywhere because we could access it quickly. And we didn't have a boat. And, you know, we'd hear the stories. And then as Greg can attest to, the quality of the water in the Gulf is creeping forward with too many humans.
Mm-hmm.
And it's killing the Gulf of Mexico. I don't care what you think or what you want to say about it, what you think you can or can't do. But it's dying. The Gulf is dying. We're not getting the shad by the hundreds of metric tons that we used to because of red death. red tide, the red death, whatever, south of town. The gauntlet where everything has to go through is killing millions of tons of fish. And that's why we don't have the bait we used to have out there. And I'm not just talking about inshore, I'm talking about offshore
Right.
and inshore.
Mhm.
But what we can do is prevent the human crush from destroying that grass.
Right.
And the balance of doing that while at the same time selling it and using it, the utilization of this grass flats has to be
It's got to be a marriage.
equal. It's got to be equal to everyone. And that right now is not happening. We're losing grass to too many boats abusing the water. They're abusing the depths.
Mhm.
The laws need to be rewritten. We need to change the way we operate large outboard motors in shallow water. And South Florida can attest to what it happens if you don't.
Oh, and they are serious about it down there now.
Mhm.
But one thing that they're working on, they're starting this in Homosassa Crystal River right now, but it's coming here, is they're doing some really high tech mapping of scars.
Right.
They're using some basically live satellite imagery.
Mm-hmm.
They're flying it in planes. They're flying it with drones, and they're mapping out scars, and they're going to start trending it, seeing exactly how long it takes to recover,
Right.
and start planning some restoration efforts. And if you go in certain areas like Grassy Island is a hangout, especially now through the rest of the
Warmer
summer.
months. Yeah.
The sandbar there, everyone wants to hang out,
Mhm.
and that's fine. We grew up.
Public
You
water.
had Anclote.
Yeah.
We just need people to keep in mind that it is a very shallow grass flat. You bring your offshore boats in there with your twins and triples, and that tide goes out, you're going to be cutting.
You're going to be destroying stuff.
So, one thing on both sides of that island, there's a natural channel
Mhm.
that you can hop up on plane, because the most damage is done when they're trying to idle through it
Right.
for miles
For a
to get
mile.
to deep water.
Yeah.
You're better off jumping up and running.
Yeah.
But anyways, we won't go down that rabbit hole. I just wanted to share that there is an update. They are.
That's great.
Yeah.
We went to the meetings when 3 months ago
Yes.
Mhm.
in December or November. February.
And
Well, that's good. I was wondering if we'd ever hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Was it last week she called me, I think? Or was it Monday? She it was either
Well,
Friday or Monday.
It's like with any government issue, the wheels turn very slowly.
Well, she got back to me pretty quick, but
Well, yeah, that does. But I mean, as a whole,
Yeah.
like I said, 3 months ago, we were in a meeting, we're talking about it, and now we're just starting to see a little bit. But there's so many different entities. That's what, what a lot of people don't understand is there's so many different entities, and they got to get input from all of them. It'd be, bureaucracy.
But what we can do, us here, the people watching, is be mindful
Right.
of the seagrass.
And if you see something that's out of whack or something you think, all of a sudden the flat that you fish has half the grass on it, say something about it.
Call me.
Yeah. Call one of those.
Call Greg, call Pat. We will get the right person involved.
And that's the stuff they need to see about, because sometimes it's, it could be as bad as bad water coming from somewhere. It could be, there's no telling what it can be. Well, sometimes it can be fixed
There
quickly.
was sea urchins
Sometimes it
there
could be
for a
set.
while.
So how's it going?
it's-
Yeah. Yeah, you just never know. But if nobody knows about it, and it's not like, especially from Rock Island North, there's not a lot of people in the water a lot of times.
Right.
So you don't, stuff that happens doesn't get seen.
Yeah.
So.
And I will say, we lost a lot of grass from whenever that we had all that rain. Was it 3 years ago, Pat? Or was it 4 now?
4.
Yeah.
Because we didn't fish one whole season.
It's looking good.
Yeah.
it's coming
Yeah.
back.
Well, too much rain, you get all that
Well,
tan, and then it just.
Well, let me
It's
go
like
back.
walking
Let me
in
go
a
back
dark
further than that and tell you the resilience of the Gulf in the past. Now, whether or not it's that resilient now, I don't know. But in 2002, we had 39 inches of rain in the March. Let's see. I was in Tampa. We had 6 inches at the show, the
Sergeant show.
Frank Sargent show. And what I'm telling you is that the dark water came from north 3 times, 5 times worse than it was 4 years ago. And it literally stayed in October. I was Dave Malone, who passed last year, and I had to fish south. We couldn't catch a fish north. But when that cloud came, every Tom, Dick, and Harry from Lowndes County that had a John boat caught a 5-pound trout. And that's where all the crush of people came. I had a client that neither one of them, husband and wife, owned a house at the beach. And they had, for 6 years before they ever fished with me, this was the second year they fished with me, and both of them caught a trout over 5 pounds. And the shed, listen to me, and the ballyhoo were out there by the half square mile. And all you had to do is just go to where they were blowing them out of the water. And you caught a fish every cast. And the boats literally lined up like a 4th of July scalloping for the trout. And God knows how many trout we killed. Now, God knows how many taken. We had a 10 trout rule, I think. It may have been 7, but it was at least a 7. The point I'm trying to make is that grass died off. And I went up there looking, and it was all the way to Rock Island from Sullivan Camp. You're laughing because of what the Georgia people call that. But anyway, I didn't want to say that on the radio. But anyway,
That's why I'm laughing.
yeah. The point is that grass grew back, but it took it 6 years to fill it back in. 6 years, from 2002 2008, and then I started working again in my charters. And I'd go further and further and further north, and was surprised that there was a blade of grass, and the grass came back. But it takes a year. I mean, it takes 6 years to grow 1 inch of the turtle grass.
Yep.
The flat bladed stuff.
Yep.
The eelgrass grows back faster and fills in and takes over from. It's much more aggressive, and it takes over from
Right.
the turtle
Turtle grass.
Now, it's better fishing for me. It's better scalloping for the scallopers because it has more brown algae on it, and those scallops are phototrophically attracted to that brown because they think it's a scallop. That's how. But they're mollusks, they're not geniuses. And they say, "Oh, brown, mama," or "Baby, come here, baby. Let's go to bed." But the mating is done because of that. What I was trying to say is, we will get grass back in areas, but it won't be the same.
Right.
Nature does not repeat itself back identically anyway. But these conditional changes, the only way to protect it is to stay out of it.
Yeah.
Like trying to plant a pasture. You can't put animals on the pasture.
Well, the thing is, people stayed out of it because there wasn't any fish there because there wasn't any grass.
Right. And they'll stay out of it. But if it comes back, it will come back differently.
Right.
And it will come back with more of different species of that.
Oh yeah, there's a lot more rock grass in that area.
How about the rock grass up north? And you know why that happened? Did you get it? As to why we had more this year? It got a foothold before the other grass because of light, because the water was clear. If you have low rain, you have rock grass, and it comes all the way up the surface out there. In some places, it's 4 feet.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can't even fish some areas.
No, but there's fish in it.
Those trout
Oh,
love it.
yeah, they're in there. When we came out with the Cajun Flash, which was the number 5 willow blade on the Thunder Spin, which I think I'm wearing the Thunder Spin hat. You could take it and bring it through there, and it was like bass fishing with a frog over that. Those big reds and big trout would come up and try to take that thing away from you. And when he hit, you thought you lost half of them because it was so much of it.
Oh yeah.
But there's some monsters up there in that that grass. And that grass is going to give some trout a chance to grow up because people aren't going to be able to pull them out of
You
that.
can't get them through it. Yeah. The only other place I've ever seen it like that is down off Chaz.
Yeah.
Chaz gets a ton of that rock grass, and those trout down there love it too.
Everything loves it.
Well, it provides sanctuary for them.
And you can't hardly fish it.
It's when it's thick, it's tough.
Well, it's already at the height that it normally is not there until June,
Right.
and mid-June.
And there's a lot of it.
Yeah.
You know, I saw it today. We were working the way the wind was blowing. It was blowing
Right
straight down the
From
coast.
Eagle's Nest to Big Spring, it's literally 4 foot long now.
Yeah, and you can't hardly fish it.
Hey, I believe this or not, I had a 2-stroke 150 6-cylinder Yamaha before I had these. Let's say I'm on my 3rd 4-stroke, so we're talking about 12, 15 years ago. It would stop my 150. It would choke it down and stop it like a old 9.9 used to get hydrilla.
Trying to run through the hydrilla?
Yes, that's how thick it was back around 2000 or 2000 and
Had to
late.
make sure you had a good head of steam going.
No, I'm just talking about trying to idle from one
Yeah.
point to the other, and I'm trimmed
Scoop it
up,
down.
and it would stop it. And I've never had that happen on any motor, whether I was in freshwater when I bass fished for years. Never had that happen. So that's how thick it can get.
Oh yeah.
But it would be hot, super hot weather. I
Mhm.
mean, it'd be June.
Yeah.
We'll get the length of that in some places,
Already.
and if you get the white bait mixed in there, that is extraordinarily fun.
Oh yeah.
But we got to get some bait in there from somewhere.
Well, you need everybody to go out there and start chumming for bait.
Okay, they're not out there.
Let
Well,
them draw them in.
but I keep us updated on that, Kenny, as far as the stuff, and let us know if they're planning to have another sit down.
They are. It's so they've got everything we went over. So for you guys watching that are interested, they put up maps of the region, and they asked us to write on there
What
hot
areas were
spots
important.
and what our concerns were, and kind of rank them, along with our comments, which we were there representing the Big Bend Guys Association. And that's one good thing is, you know, they want us involved.
Yeah.
And so they've taken all that, they put it together, and they're close to ready to have another meeting, present all that. And then what we're going to do is discuss that and just dissect
Where to
it
go
even
from there.
further.
Yeah.
And prioritize things. So some good stuff for our region, from Cedar Key all the way, everything that's considered the Big Bend Aquatic Seagrass
Seagrass
Reserve.
sanctuary, yeah.
So, but I'll definitely keep everyone updated, and I know y'all will be involved in those meetings.
Absolutely.
So for the next week, what's your recommendations, Pat?
I would wrap 4 feet. I would stay in deep water. I wouldn't try to, if you just got to throw top water, then go throw it in your neighbor's pool and get it out of your system before you come down here. There's not enough. These two guys stay in water traditionally shallower by half than me. They want to be in 2 feet or less. If they can, they would spend their lives in less than 2 feet. I'm talking about true depth now, not what it says on your transducer, but actually 2 feet of water. And they're not catching fish doing it. And I admit anybody that fishes as good as these. Oh, I have some more guides, but they were all guides. You're beating your head against the wall to try to make that happen.
Yeah.
Get out in 3 to 5 feet of water, which means wrap 4. Try to, if you get and pay attention to the depth finder. If you catch a fish, read it off and say it out loud. 3.7. Catch a fish, 3.9, 3.10. That's 4 foot. The point I'm trying to make is pay a special attention to the exact depth and the tide. Look at, you've got them in your machine. I know you got the same apps we do. Punch it every time you catch a fish or someone on the boat catches a fish, punch it, see where the tide is, see where you are exactly, and be in the right place in the right depth when you're on top of that high. From an hour up and an hour back down that hump, be in the right depth of water, and you're not going to be, if anybody catches fish, you will too. Those fish are there. And put a cork on one person's rod, I don't care. Make someone throw a cork, and don't throw an 18-inch cork in 3 feet of water. You know, put a 30-something inch cork on 32 is where I usually try to run, and keep it in the water and see if you're not pleased by catching larger fish that are not going to run down of swimming bait that you're working back to the boat. I can't begin to tell you how many more big trout I've caught with a float than I have without it. And just because I don't live in that shallow water doesn't mean I can't do it. I was throwing artificials for 13 years, 100 days a year before I ever met these two guys, before I ever moved to Taylor County, pre-1990. So I know how to throw every kind of hard bait and every kind of soft bait they make. I know how to do it, and I can do it. My clientele can't necessarily do it. I'm going to keep it simple. But back to what you asked, keep a cork on, get a color, throw it 10 times, take it off, put a new color on there. Find what the pinfish bite, chase. I can tell you, anything with red glitter in it, anything with a green back, this watermelon green with red glitter is on chicken on chain. It's also on the Canada craw. It has red glitter. The
Watermelon
watermelon slice,
Yeah,
watermelon red, watermelon red black. There are at least a dozen assassin colors alone that have that red glitter. Houdini, my favorite. I mean, this is close to becoming my favorite now, the chicken on the chain. But the Houdini.
So what I threw today a lot was that red and gold.
I did too.
There you go.
We caught fish on it.
And so you want the red glitter because that's what draws pinfish, and that's why they're pecking the bait.
Yep.
And piranha, I call it piranha. They corn on the cob that bait and just chew all. That activity is your friend. That's going to draw attention from other fish that are going to come over to see what is that about. That's the whole premise of how gulp works, is attract small pinfish, and therefore you get the trout comes over to run them down, and everybody's left, and who's left hanging out to dry? Your gulp or your bait. So the other thing I would recommend is on a slow bite, I'm going to add scent. I know Kenny doesn't want to hear that because he doesn't like scent, but I'm going to add scent.
He says that, and I got jars of it in my boat.
Right. Have you opened any of them? Okay. I'm glad you're starting to be converted. Didn't he say he doesn't ever use it
I've
last
heard it
year?
before.
I normally do that to get a rise out of it.
Okay. Well, it works because I believe in it and I use the.
Well, that right there is cinnamon.
So they're on the
Yes, that's
package.
true. That's right. And yet, it won't hold like putting something on there
Yeah.
every 3-4 K.
It doesn't release like that.
Yeah, it's great, fresh out of the pack. The ones with the garlic in them, that used to be some darker colors. I've forgotten what they were. Oh, molting, I think it had garlic in it. You couldn't throw it without catching black sea bass. Black sea bass, by the way, love garlic. They'll come a block away to get garlic.
Everybody's going to the store to buy garlic now.
You can get garlic from anybody manufacturer that makes it, but I use Bang because Assassin owns it, and I've had great success with it. But those are the keys for me. I'd stay in more water than you necessarily want to be in. I would put the top water down. I'd throw it for 1 hour and then move the boat back out into the Gulf. And trust it. If these boys didn't catch anything on top water, I'm not going to throw it. I'm not going to throw it for about 5 casts anyway, because I'm not married to one color or one spook or one skitter walk or one she-dog or one top dog junior. I throw the mirror lures, y'all know that, but I'm not going to be married to it.
And I think this time of year we're getting to the time where you should have some kind of live bait on the boat.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, it's
Live
that's
bait,
the one
cut
thing.
bait.
Yeah, if you of all the pinfish that you catch, when you're working those jigs in, everything like that, instead of throwing them back, just throw them in the live well.
Yeah.
You know, if you cut them up later.
If they're too big, cut them up. Ladyfish, cut them up.
Yep.
And don't
Yeah.
think you won't catch a trout on cut ladyfish.
Oh, yeah.
I promise you will.
Some of the biggest trout I used to, especially down south, some of the biggest ones I ever caught were on cut ladyfish and snook. Well, we don't have snook up here per se, but you know, same thing. Any fish, you know, all fish smell, so they can, you know, they come to it, they're going to eat. But yeah, this, instead of throwing those pinfish back, you know, buy some shrimp, put the pinfish in the boat, and
If you can keep shrimp on long enough.
if you
right
can,
now.
yeah, I agree. But I mean, if you're fishing up around an oyster bar or something like that, like I said, I mean, even though you're not catching them on the artificials, a lot of times those fish are there. They just, like Pat said, they don't want to put the effort forth to chase. If there's something laying on the bottom, they'll swim up and eat it.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's cut bait shrimp or whatever, or even a live pinfish.
Remember too that if you've got to remember the species that you're targeting. A speckled trout is spotted sea trout. A spots mean camo. Camo means he's hiding. Hiding is done by being still and stationary. The more you drift, the more water you cover, the more fish you put your bait in front of. But if I'm hiding and I'm in gin clear water, I'm not going to swim 20 feet and get your bait. I'm going to swim 5 feet to get your bait. That means that you have to put 4 times the energy. This is all math. He's not going to move 20 feet for it. So what are you fishing it for a minute for? Hit the water, pop it, jig it, twitch it, whatever you're using, live, artificial cut, synthetic, whatever, and give him 20 seconds and reel it in.
Mm-hmm.
He's not coming. He's not coming. You don't have what the same luxury of colored water that you had last year. You don't have it. And what it translates to is how long is your bait in the water? Now, 20 seconds from that clap is the only friend you got. If you're throwing a jig and bait, it splashed down and that's over. It's gone. You don't get another one. If you don't have a clacker cork on, as Mike McNamara would say, a clacker cork, then you don't have a second. Hey, look at me. So there you go.
So one thing I want to talk about, if you are going to use artificial, especially these under pop and cork, and I know I mentioned it last week, the 4 Horsemen hook.
Yeah.
I used that today. I love that hook. You know,
I thought it was some other evil eye or something he showed a picture of. Was it 4 Horsemen?
No, it was that one.
yeah, 4 Horsemen, and it has the ridge.
Yeah.
It
got the
has
leg.
an extended ridged
About that
anchor.
far.
That's the anchor is what they call it.
Yeah,
Even though
but it's
it may be a hook on one or a spin or whatever, that's the anchor. That's what ties the bait to the jig head.
Mm-hmm.
well, it's also the weight because there's no jig head.
Right, it's just a hook.
It's just a hook.
Yeah.
And with these especially,
It is a jig head, just doesn't have a round.
Right. It's not a traditional jig head.
yeah, there's no jig head on it. It's just a regular
It's
eye.
the lead, yeah. The lead from the eye down. It's skinny.
Well, go ahead.
It is excellent on these, and it gives it the perfect descent rate.
And it lays it level.
Yep.
Okay.
So
That's on the P and V, folks, from the south.
right now, like I said, I put pinfish traps out. It's that time of the year I'm starting to transition. As much as I don't want to, I'm not an idiot. I want to catch fish.
Yep.
People want to catch fish,
Okay.
you know, and
Did you say he's not an idiot?
I heard it.
Okay.
well,
We need to write that down. All this time I had it wrong.
well, I don't let all the secrets out. So when I come back to the dock with a bunch of fish, and I just tell Patty, yeah, I was in 1.5 feet of water.
Hey, you can tell me anything you
No.
want.
I
Like
just
I
gotta
said, it's like when Pouncy's restaurant was there for 20 years, 25 years while I fished. And Billy Pillow was my best buddy. We'd go trout fishing and he'd say, they'd walk over to Billy and say, what'd y'all really catch those fish on? And Billy'd look at him and say, do you think that Pat McGraw, writing fiction reports in the paper every week and writing for Woods and Water every month for 20 years is lying? He said, because that's all he's put the same thing down for 20 something years. And he said, I don't know how many reports that is, but he's not lying. Why don't you hire him and go out there and see?
It must
If
be
you don't
working.
believe me, but it works. He said, live pinfish under Cajun Thunder. And he said, what do you really catch them on? And Billy said, what in the world is wrong with you? You know, it's like I said, honesty, what did you say about my stories? That they're exactly the same?
They're exactly
You know
the
they're
same.
true. Yeah, it's the same. But like you said now, that jig head is something new that may present that bait in a fashion that gives them that much longer to draw. And if it does stay like it looks like a shrimp,
You got
bingo.
longer to eat it.
Yeah, and
Bingo.
I do want to set the record straight. I didn't get those, weren't given to me. I'm not being asked to say something about them. I bought those off the shelf at a tackle shop in Louisiana, and they friggin' work.
Right. Well, you may have to go back to Louisiana to find
I'm
some.
going back next week and getting some more.
Well, you better buy some of them. Because now
You can get them online.
there are other people that make something similar to that, but they usually have a turned eye for jig,
Right.
you know, and then they just run that lid. You've seen it.
Yeah, this is just a J hook with a
With lead on it.
with
But
lead
it
on
doesn't even have an offset eye.
No.
It's a straight eye.
Yeah.
straight J hook, straight eye. So if I'm using artificial, I'm probably going to use that under a popping cork with that hook. 5 inch is not working right now like
It should.
it should. Yes.
It is not working like it should.
Sea Shads and the P&Vs
P&Vs.
are your two best bets right now.
And the reason that 5 inch isn't working is we don't have any dang valley hook.
No.
We don't have anything of that shape and that
Size.
profile, you'd like to say, it out there. And they imprint what the food is. If they see it, it's food. If they're not seeing it, it's not food.
And if I'm using live bait right now, it's going to be pinfish.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to start throwing a lot of cut bait.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to transition to as we're getting into. I think we're going to just straight bypassing spring.
Yeah, I think
And we're going to get
we
right
had,
into
a
summer
we had,
patterns.
yeah, we had a quick spring. We had a quick flirt in spring, and
So if you're coming this weekend, that's what I would do. And next week we may have to switch the day. We may have to do this on Wednesday. We'll let everyone know.
Say that a little bit louder so they could hear you.
We may have to do this on Wednesday because is it Thursday we're going to Louisiana? We're coming back here Wednesday, right?
Not next week, the week after. It's the
yeah,
week-
so we're good.
2 weeks is the weekend.
Okay, 2 weeks. So next week we're good.
So we're good.
Next week we're good.
Next Thursday.
Okay. I just wanted to go back and catch some. Red
You're ready to go.
Anyways, we will.
You're going to go a week early.
Yeah.
Say, dang, I'm out here for a week.
And I still might.
What do you reckon we ought to do?
Let's
I
go
don't know.
fishing.
Let's go catch a
Wow.
red.
Very much else to do in Louisiana.
Oh,
Lord have mercy.
all right. So I can't go early because I was just told I'm not allowed.
See? Laying down the law.
All righty. Well, we'll see y'all next week.
Good night.
Good night.